All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're looking at AI, the economy, and personal branding. All those things everyone's buzzing about. We're basing this on an article summarizing a video. And get this, the video is called It's All a Scam.
Hmm.
Yeah, pretty bold title, right? Makes you wonder, what exactly is the scam they're talking about? AI taking over, the economy going bust, everything. Let's see what this deep dive reveals. From what I've gathered, this one might leave us scratching our heads a bit. We're talking some serious claims here, like AI causing huge job losses, problems with the US economic system, and how personal branding could be more important than ever. So buckle up. First off, AI. This article throws out a crazy stat. By 2030, AI could replace like 60% of jobs in developed economies. 60%.
Yeah, that's a huge EE number.
Yeah.
And it really makes you think about the impact, right? It's not just those typical factory jobs people always talk about. AI is popping up everywhere. Customer service, logistics, even creative stuff like writing and music. There are AI programs composing music now.
Seriously. Wow. It makes you wonder, are Anna White jobs safe from AI at this point?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely something everyone needs to be thinking about, like how AI could affect your specific field. But instead of freaking out about AI taking over, maybe it's better to think about how we can adapt and work with it.
Hmm.
Every big tech change shakes things up, but it also creates new opportunities, right?
I like that. It's not about being scared of the tech, but about learning to use it.
No.
So we've got AI potentially replacing jobs, but that's not all. This video, It's All a Scam, also seems to be waving some big red flags about the whole U.S. economic system. They don't mince words, calling it deeply flawed and unsustainable. And they really hammer on this idea that the government's relying too much on printing money instead of, taxes.
Yeah, and that whole printing money thing, it actually points to some bigger economic issues they're trying to highlight, things like rising national debt and inflation.
Yeah.
And those things hit everyone where it hurts. Think about it. Printing more money devalues the money we already have, and bam, prices go up on everything, groceries, gas, even houses.
Right. And the article even points out that the average home price is now a whopping $430,000, but wages have barely moved in years. That's a huge problem for most people. It feels like you're running just to stay in place. So, we've got AI maybe taking jobs, the economy potentially on shaky ground. It's a lot to take in, and honestly, it's not the most optimistic picture. But here's where things get interesting. The video actually proposes a solution to all this: building a strong personal brand.
Makes sense when you think about it. In a world where AI is doing so much, generating content, automating tasks, even replacing whole job functions, how do you stand out, not just from other people, but from AI too? That's where the personal brand comes in, they argue. It's going to be essential. Think of it, you're competing with other humans, A&D AI-powered services.
So it's like in a world of algorithms and AI, your personal brand is what makes you uniquely you.
Exactly. It's all about showcasing what you bring to the table, your skills, your creativity, your critical thinking, even your emotional intelligence. The stuff that AI, at least right now, can't really replicate. It's about proving those human qualities are still valuable.
That's a really interesting point. It's like AI is pushing us to double down on what makes us human, those skills and qualities you just can't program. But it's not just about feeling good, right? There's a strategic side to this personal branding thing.
Oh, absolutely. Imagine being an employer, right? You've got a stack of resumes, or maybe you're a client looking for someone with specific skills. You're drowning in information, and who knows, some of it might even be AI generated. A strong personal brand cuts through all that noise. It tells people what you're all about, what you're good at, and why they should pick you.
It's like how algorithms control what we see online. You got to play the game to get noticed, to have your message heard. And that's what we're trying to do here, give you the knowledge to navigate this crazy world. Before we get too far ahead, though, there's another piece to this puzzle, and it's a big one. The video, it doesn't shy away from controversy. It jumps right into politics, suggesting there's a lot of shady stuff going on behind the scenes, especially when it comes to, well, corporations having too much influence.
Right. The whole "it's all a scam" idea seems to come from a distrust of the systems in place. They point to corporate money in politics as a big problem. Their argument is that politicians are basically beholden to the companies that fund their campaigns, which, yeah, makes you wonder whose interests are really being served.
Yeah, I can see how that would make people feel like the system is rigged against them. Not exactly a comforting thought. So we've got AI potentially changing the job market, worries about the economy, and now this whole layer of distrust in politics. It's a lot to unpack.
Definitely a lot to digest. And it really highlights why being informed and thinking critically is so important, and being willing to talk about these things, have these conversations.
Absolutely. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already, and I think it's safe to say this deep dive is going to need a few parts. But before we go, I want to make something clear. We're just presenting one perspective here, one interpretation of this "it's all a scam" video and the article about it. It's important to look at different viewpoints and form your own conclusions. So far, we've talked about AI's impact on jobs, those concerns about the U.S. economy, and how personal branding is becoming more and more important. We even touched on that controversial topic of corporate money influencing politics. It's heavy stuff. We'll be back soon with part two to dig deeper into all this and talk about potential solutions and strategies for dealing with this crazy, ever-changing world.
Welcome back to our deep dive. We're picking up where we left off talking about AI, the economy, and all that good stuff. Let's dig into some key takeaways from that "It's All a Scam" video and the article we're working with.
You know, it's interesting. The video paints a pretty bleak picture, especially about AI taking jobs. But the article also says that this tech shift, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's about adapting, right?
Exactly. The video creators, they don't seem anti-technology. Their concern is more about like how we handle these powerful new tools. They actually compare it to the printing press, remember? When that was invented, it put all those scribes out of work, the ones who copied manuscripts by hand.
Oh, right, right.
But the printing press also led to way more literacy, easier sharing of knowledge. AI could cause similar shifts, big changes we can't even predict yet.
So instead of being afraid of AI, we should try to understand it, learn how to work with it. Like, it's almost like learning a new language or a new skill, right?
Exactly. Think of it this way. If you were a blacksmith back in the early 1900s when cars started becoming popular, that must have been scary. Suddenly, your skills weren't as needed.
Yeah, I can see that.
But someone had to build and fix those cars, right? New industries popped up, new jobs are created. AI is kind of similar. It's going to change things, for sure, but it's not going to get rid of the need for human skills, creativity, problem solving, all that.
Okay, that makes sense. It's not about holding on to the past, but about moving forward with technology, adapting as we go. But let's say you're listening to this and thinking, okay, AI is a big deal, but what can I actually do about it? Both the video and the article point to personal branding as a big part of the answer.
Definitely. Building a solid personal brand, it's not just for influencers or whatever. It's becoming crucial for anyone who wants to stay competitive in the job market, build connections, and just have more control over, well, their own story in this crazy world.
I like that control over your own story because it's really about showing what makes you valuable, your skills, your experience, even your personality.
Exactly. Think of it like this. AI can pump out generic content super fast.
Yeah.
So what makes you different? What makes you stand out? Your human touch, your creative ideas, critical thinking, your ability to connect with people, those are the things AI, at least for now, can't really replicate.
It's almost like with all this technology, we're being forced to rediscover what makes us human, those unique strengths and talents we have.
Yeah, there's definitely something to that. It's not about rejecting technology, but about using it to our advantage to enhance those human qualities.
So how does all this connect to the economic stuff we talked about? If AI plays a bigger and bigger role, what happens to the job market?
Well, the video brings up some valid points. It makes us rethink the whole economic model, especially if AI leads to, lots of people losing jobs. They even talk about things like universal basic income as a potential solution.
Whoa, that's a big one.
It is. But the main takeaway here, I think, is to stay informed, be flexible, and learn new skills that are harder for AI to, take over.
So being proactive, adaptable, and basically always learning. It's not just a good idea anymore, it's essential.
Absolutely. And it's not just about tech skills either. It's about those human skills, communication, leadership, emotional intelligence. Those are going to be in high demand.
It makes you wonder, maybe AI is actually pushing us to become more human in a way, to really tap into those things that make us unique.
It's an interesting thought, for sure.
Let's get back to personal branding for a sec. The article mentions authenticity as being really important. But with all these perfect online personas, what does authentic personal branding even mean? It's like a contradiction, right?
That's a great point. A lot of people struggle with that. The video seems to be pushing for honesty, being genuine, stripping away all the fake stuff. It's about being true to yourself, your values, and your experiences. Show your real strengths, your passions. Don't try to be someone you're not.
So it's more about being real, relatable, being genuinely you, not just projecting some polished image.
Exactly. In a world that's getting more and more tech-driven, that human connection, that realness, it's going to be super valuable.
All right, we've talked AI, the economy, and personal branding. there's that other layer we touched on, the political and corporate influence stuff, which the video really emphasizes.
Yeah, the whole "it's all a scam" thing, it comes from a distrust in the systems we have. The video creators argue that corporate and political interests, they often outweigh what's good for everyday people, which leads to this feeling of, like, helplessness.
Right, and they specifically call out money in politics as a huge problem. It's a complex issue, and it's important to remember there are different sides to it.
Oh, for sure. There were debates about campaign finance, lobbying, the whole role of money in politics. It's not an easy fix. But the video makes us think about it, examine these systems, and ask some tough questions.
Yeah, like, how do we make sure our political system actually represents the people, not just the ones with a lot of money?
Exactly. It's about transparency, holding people accountable, and making sure everyone's voice is heard.
So, what can we do about it? The video doesn't really give any clear solutions, does it?
Not directly, no. But the message, I think, is about empowerment. It's about raising awareness, encouraging critical thinking, and urging people to get involved.
It's about taking action, right? Not just accepting things as they are, but demanding better from our leaders.
Exactly. Being informed, voting, speaking out, fighting for policies that help everyone.
It's a lot to process, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface here. But this deep dive, it's raising some important questions and making us really think about the world we live in.
I agree. And that's the point, isn't it? To spark curiosity, challenge what we think we know, and encourage people to keep learning and exploring these things.
Okay, so we've covered AI's effect on jobs, the economic worries from the video, and how important personal branding is becoming. And we discussed that controversial topic of corporate influence in politics.
It's a lot, I know, but I think the big takeaway is this. We're not helpless. We have choices, we have a voice, and we can shape the future. That's a great point. We can't predict the future perfectly, but we can learn and adapt and make sure we're ready for whatever comes.
That's what we're all about here on the Deep Dive, giving you the insights and info you need to make good decisions and create a better future, both for yourself and for everyone. We'll be back soon for the final part of this deep dive. We'll be looking at some potential solutions and strategies for succeeding in this rapidly changing world. All right, deep divers, welcome back for the final part of our exploration. AI, the economy, personal branding, we've covered a lot. Remember those stats about AI and jobs, and the concerns about the U.S. economy, and how crucial it is to build your personal brand and all this. Plus, we even got into that whole thing about politics and corporate influence.
Yeah, we've been through a lot.
It's a lot to take in, and I wouldn't blame you if you're feeling a bit, well, overwhelmed, maybe even a little pessimistic after the last two parts.
Yeah, I get it. That it's all a scam video. It definitely focuses on the problems, the things that are wrong. But there's also this underlying message of, like, you're not powerless. Don't just sit back and be a victim. Take charge.
Okay, I like that. So let's move away from the doom and gloom and talk about solutions. What can people actually do to not just survive, but thrive in this crazy changing world? We keep talking about personal branding as an answer, but how do you actually do it? What are some concrete steps people can take?
First thing, figure out what makes you you. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? What makes you different? Once you know that, you can start building a brand that highlights those things.
Right. Find your niche, your special thing, so you stand out from the crowd.
Exactly. And then turn those strengths into something real. Create content like blog posts, videos, social media stuff, whatever shows off your expertise and lets you connect with people authentically. Network. Talk to people in your field. Go to events. Join online groups. Remember, it's not just what you know, it's who you know.
Sounds like a lot of work, but it's kind of exciting too, right? Like you're creating something that's truly yours.
Absolutely. And with AI becoming so common, that human touch, that real connection, it's going to be more important than ever. People want authenticity, especially online where everything can feel so fake.
So true. Okay, personal branding, got it. But what about the economic stuff? If jobs are going to be unstable, what can people do to prepare?
One thing is to focus on those skills AI can't really replace. Critical thinking, creativity, problem solving, emotional intelligence, leadership, all that, those are in high demand and they're not going away anytime soon.
So it's about always learning new things, being adaptable, staying ahead of the curve, lifelong learning. It's not optional anymore, right?
Nope, it's essential. And it's not just tech skills either. It's also those uniquely human skills, the things that let us connect with others, build relationships, and navigate the world.
It's like maybe AI is making us more human in a way, forcing us to get better at the things that make us special.
It's an interesting thought, for sure.
This ties into that whole be your own boss trend, too. If traditional jobs are less secure, maybe it's time to think about different ways to make money.
Definitely worth exploring. Freelancing, starting a business, building something online, those are all options. It's about using your skills to create your own opportunities. I mean, being an entrepreneur isn't for everyone, but it has a lot of potential.
And even if you're not ready to quit your job, having a side hustle or freelancing on the side, it's like a safety net. And it gives you more control, like diversifying your income.
Exactly. More options means you're less vulnerable when things change.
Okay, so personal branding, new skills, even entrepreneurship. But we can't forget that other big thing, the political and corporate influence that the video was all about. It can feel like one person can't do anything about it, you know? So what can we do?
I get that feeling of helplessness. But I think even small things can make a difference. We can't change everything overnight, but we can choose to support ethical businesses, vote for people who actually represent us, and hold our leaders accountable.
It's about using our power as consumers and citizens. Our votes, our voices, even our spending habits can shape the world.
Absolutely. And it's about having those tough conversations, challenging the status quo, and pushing for better. Real change takes time, but it starts with individuals taking action, working together for something better.
Well said. I think this whole deep dive has given us a lot to think about, both personally and as a society. We've explored some big, complicated issues, and it's easy to feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's a lot. But I think the most important thing to remember is that we're not powerless. We have choices, we have a say, and we can create a better future for ourselves and for everyone.
That's a great message. Hope and empowerment, even when things feel uncertain. And I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. Keep learning, keep questioning, and keep pushing for a better world.